Hi and welcome to Scott's Inverts. I'm Scott and these are the inverts. Today's video we are going to apply some expanding foam to the back of one of our enclosures, and if you were like me and you were skeptical about this or worried about doing it, don't worry, it's a hell of a lot easier than what I first thought, and I really wish I'd started doing it a long time ago. The expanding foam that we're going to be using today is the Gorilla one. Other ones are available. It was the only one in Wilkinson's when we went to that shop at the time, so hence why we've got it in this video. Anyway, let's get in to today's video. So we are using a small glass enclosure here. It's been washed with washing up liquid and rinsed really well with water, and then I've used a tissue just to dry off the sides a little bit. But that background where we need to put the expanding foam could still have grease on it, could still have dirt on it, and we need to get rid of that. So by using either rubbing alcohol or even degreaser, a brake cleaner formula, or I'm actually using here vodka, because as long as it will clean off any residue and leave nothing behind, we're all good to go. So that's what I'm doing here. I'm just giving it a good clean to make sure that surface is absolutely immaculate and pristine, ready for the application of our expanding foam. Just dry it off just a little bit, and as you can see, nice and clean. Just look through that glass, make sure there's nothing on it, maybe any tiny bits of dirt or anything, and if there is, just go back in again with that rubbing alcohol and take it clean off. Absolutely perfect. We need it all clean everywhere where we're going to put that expanding foam, and also if we're going to go up the sides with any of the silicone, we also need that to be nice and clean as well. So we have got our expanding foam to the ready. The one we're using at the moment is the 151 Gorilla Filler. Again, this was just the cheapest in the shop. Doesn't matter which brand you use, there's tons out there, and always follow the safety precautions and the guidelines that are on the side of the can. And we take the top off, and it actually just screws into the can there. So the applicator screws onto the top, and it's got a trigger mechanism, so we just push down. When we push down, there's going to be a lot of air come out of that first. These are highly pressurized cans, and then it would just start spitting little bits of expanding foam out before we get like a main flow. And I want to cover about 3/4 of that, because I'm not going to bother putting any right down the bottom, because that's where the substrate's going to be. We ain't going to see that, so where my finger is now, that's where I kind of want it to be, and that'll be fine. So what I do is just gently squeeze that trigger. Don't go hard, because we don't want to put out 10 ton of expanding foam all in the one spot. The thicker, the more pressure that you put on that trigger, the thicker the expanding foam is going to be, and the bigger it will be once it's finished expanding. And I just want a thin layer, so that's all I'm doing. So I'm going to go round the outside of the area that I want to put the expanding foam on first, and then the interior. It doesn't really matter if you want to go diagonally with your strokes, up and down, or round and round in circles. As long as we cover all the glass at the back, it makes no difference. And that's exactly what we're doing here. If you see those tiny little gaps, don't worry about them. When we come to the final bit, they'll all be completely filled in, because this stuff expands. If you want to put a second layer on, you can, but remember, it does expand quite a lot, so it's worth having a play around with this stuff before you start looking at doing second layers. And it will keep coming out at the end of there constantly. So if you've got 2 or 3 enclosures to do, it's always a good idea. Instead of just doing the one, then we have got no waste. And that is it. That is it. Completely done. Now all we need to do is literally just leave this for 24 hours to dry completely, unless you want to put some cork bark or any other pieces in there, which I'm going to do on this one. Then you want to leave it for around 3 to 4 hours, so the outside is a bit tacky, but it's got some structure to it, so when you put anything on, it doesn't just sink straight into it, it will actually sit on top. So like I said, we're going to leave this to set, and it's been probably left it for about 3 hours, and we just put these just literally bits of cork bark on the top, just like that. Wherever you want to put them, be creative, put whatever you want in there. Maybe you want to put a couple of stones on top. I went for pieces of bark as well as some orchid pieces in there, just to help hold the humidity and the moisture in this enclosure. Remember, once it's all finished, it won't look brilliant. It doesn't look brilliant until you've put all your substrate in there, you've got your hide in there, and you've got your plants in there, that's when the background really starts to pop. And with it being a bit dark, if you put a nice spider in there, that spider's going to pop if it climbs up that wall. But from this point, leave it 24 hours, and after 24 hours, you can actually cut into the expanding foam and make rock type shapes if you want, which I've done here. But the whole entire background of that, I've applied all the glue with my finger, used some gloves and covered it all. Then we want to cover it again, all with cocoa fibre. Now try and get the cocoa fibre with the big bits in it so it looks wicked. And then again, using a rubber glove and your hand, just push it in, make sure it's all in there, leave it for 24 hours, and all the excess, just tap your enclosure and it'll all fall down to the bottom and get rid of anything that's in the bottom. Ready to put our substrate in. And it's as simple as that. We can in the future go crazy once we kind of got the hang of it and start using acrylics, start putting maybe figurines into the expanding foam, really think about kind of maybe a themed enclosure and all the rest of it. So we can see our pieces of bark there, and that is ready to be planted out. Boom! So it is as easy as that. And not only can we just apply coir to the actual background, we can also seal it off with either a pond sealant or maybe even a different colour of sealant, and we can apply all sorts of things to it, such as tiny little stones. Maybe you want to fill it all up with cork bark, or maybe you want to leave it to set and get your acrylic paints out to really go for that jungle scene. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and as always, we shall see you again on the next one.